What is up, party peoples, and the place to be? Welcome to Generation Dan, the podcast about generational differences, as if the name wasn't implying that enough. I'm Atlas Novak, younger millennial, and I'm camouflaging with the background I just noticed. Who else is here with me?
Hi everyone, I'm Gino the Genetic Marvel. I am having a weird day, Atlas, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I told you I recently took a jewelry making course. I told you about that. So we got news today that we passed, and this
Yay! I didn't know you were getting graded. I thought it was.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Look, yeah, my wife makes sure I suffer. So she's like, yeah, so everybody passed. Hey, what's happening, Titanium? I was hoping you would show up, sir. I haven't seen you in a while, but I haven't been doing stuff during the day. So thank you for showing up.
Nice.
But we are talking. So, and we start a new course on this coming Saturday. But also, okay, how are you with spicy food?
I'm pretty pale about it, but I'm slowly getting better. Like I try more and more spicy stuff. I'm better than my sister now.
Better than your sister.
Used to be better than me with spicy food.
So I have tried what's called the Jolo chip. It was like a 1-chip challenge. No big deal. It's 2.2 million Scoville. Now, yesterday, I've never had issue with spicy stuff. And I'll tell you, it was very hot, but I was able to communicate the entire time. Yesterday on Hammered and Cheese, because our guest was actually in Houston and they just had a hurricane. So he's like, I can't be on the show. And we're like, that makes sense. You have priorities, right? You're good. Yeah. So instead I was like, you know what? I'm going to try one of these things. And I took the Jolo hottest chocolate challenge.
Hottest chocolate?
Yeah, that's right. So it's with all sorts of madness. Anyways, if you Google Jolo chip chocolate, that's what I took. And I couldn't talk, Atlas. I couldn't talk. I thought I was gonna die. Like it was that bad. Now, in my entire history of doing those kind of things, like trying spicy food and everything, I've never had an issue on the back end. Right? Like it's been no issue.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I thought I was gonna die. Like I had to take my actually I wasn't even wearing socks. I was sweating from the top of my head to my toes while pooping. Okay, it was that intense.
It's bad when you have to take your shirt off.
Listen, hey, I didn't have the time to even do that. And like I literally, man, where's Legos? Don't worry, they're coming back.
This is Generation Dan. We don't do Legos here.
We don't do Legos here. That's mine. Yeah. Sorry, buddy. So yeah. Then I proceeded to because it's raining, I thought to my wife, we'll try and get in some steps. So we went to our local mall and we were walking around inside and it was good. And then I was like, I need to shit. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. Rushed to the bathroom. She's like messaging me and I'm just like, I am dying. And then I'm like, you know what?
You went into the family restroom.
I did. Okay, I went into the bathroom. I went in, and there was 3 stalls open. I'm like, sweet, first one, doo-doo. And it's like the mall just opened at 10, and it's like 10:30. First one, doo-doo. All right, next one, big doo-doo. And I'm like, what the hell? Third one, more doo-doo. I'm like, not okay. So I run back out. I go to the family room and I'm like doing a little dance, waiting for the door to automatically close so I can lock it. And I'm like, and ultimately everything was fine. But then it happened. I thought it had passed. I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. I'm good. Nope. Had to run to the bathroom again. And this time I was like, hey, honey, here, hold my coffee. I'll text you when I'm ready.
Coffee didn't help, right?
Well, I was trying to push it through. I was trying to push through, right?
Okay.
So, and then I smoked a joint right now. I had some chicken souvlaki that we just bought, and I'm like, okay, fingers crossed that I don't die, but 50-50 I may die. So yeah, first time in my life that I've ever experienced
Fire hole.
yeah, the back fire. Never happened before. Wild. Wild thing. And honestly, I wasn't that bad, but I get it. I get why people are like, oh no, the hot's food. You know, like I get it. I get why some people would be afraid of that. Being fat, I've had shits where I've had to take my socks off. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm it's not a big deal. But anyways.
I've gotten that where like my stomach has just kind of been a problem for me most of my life. Like I just
It happens.
Katie pointed out that if I take my seizure meds with food, it doesn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
She's right because I tried it both with and without, but I didn't even notice. She was like, when you take your seizure meds with dinner, it doesn't like blow it up later.
Yeah.
So good to know. But also the because I didn't run into you during my wedding until the reception, right? Like we weren't.
Yeah.
We never. Okay, so that whole day waiting for the ceremony to arrive, I was shitting like every hour and a half because I was just out of anxiety.
Yeah. I've been married twice. I know.
I was just like, all right, the groomsmen are getting dressed together, and like, there's 8 of us in this hotel room, and the bathroom's right there.
I have a real problem. Yeah, no, that's
I was freaking out.
Yeah. No, that's legit. That's legit. They I'll be honest with you, it's one of those things where like that day of your wedding, you're gonna just your body is doing weird things for no other reason than just shenanigans, But
yeah, and I wonder if if the same was going on for Katie, and it must have been even more like meticulous. Where okay, we got to make sure the dress is pinned up just right. We're doing your makeup like that.
I'm not sure.
So much more busy if we ever get her on the show.
Yeah, and if there are any ladies watching, please feel free to comment and let us know if women have the same type of anxiety with regards to that big step. Because, like, I equate it to like exam day or something like stuff like that, where you're going, "Hey, there are repercussions for the decisions I'm making today."
Or
you know what I mean? Like, that sounded really negative. It was not meant to be negative. It was just the seriousness of it.
Yeah, or just like as comedians, that the first time you perform somewhere with a big stage, like the first time I went on a comedy store, that was like I had that same feeling, all that stuff.
Or like the first time all of the audience has had to pay for tickets, you're like, ooh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was a while ago for me. That's like close to a decade ago.
Wow.
So today's topic, and for people who fast forwarded to this point, good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no edit. But
stop now. Now is the time to stop, and we'll talk about the real topic. Oh.
So at the time of recording this, it's been I think 2 weeks since Joe Biden and Donald Trump did their first presidential debate. Both of them were absolutely terrible for different reasons.
Correct.
And this has led to a conversation where people are going, should Joe Biden step down as candidate? And I thought that would make it for a good topic. Being that this is a show about generational differences, I think it's interesting to talk about when is the best time to just go full Cincinnatus and, walk on into the sunset or retire or quit or whatever the thing is.
So this is the thing. And this is where the real complexity of the situation arises is we have unprecedented long life right now. And not on the grounds of merit, on the grounds of science, on the grounds of surgery, on the grounds of wealth, healthcare, not I was fit my whole life and I ate healthy. None of that. That is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the abuse. Because remember, like the idea that people could live to 100 was like, wow. Okay. And in general, the idea was you live 70 to 80. People are still working in politics specifically,
Yeah.
well past that point. That's a problem.
For my state, Dianne Feinstein just died in office. Now, that was a thing when the U.S. was young, but it was mostly, oh, I got cholera and died at like 45 or something.
Also true.
She died in her like late 80s. Just they were like propping her up Weekend at Bernie style just to get her to vote, and
which is like
too fucking long. It's too long to be there.
Listen, if there are age limits on things, there should be age limits on the other end.
Okay, you can't drink alcohol until you're 18/21.
If I can't drink alcohol until I'm 19, you can't be a property owner after the age of 90. Boom.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that shit?
I just looked up the life expectancy in the late 1700s in the U.S. and it was 36. Now, granted, I think that is skewed lower by babies. Like a lot of babies died before the age of 5. So that I think roughly you would have people living till like their 40s, 50s. Like Washington retired as president and then died 2 years later in his 60s. Which seems like he had a grand old life or whatever. Now,
I mean,
nowadays my in-laws who are in their 60s they're like just getting started more or less with like how they're living their lives.
Well, I told you how my Victoria's aunts were here from Hong Kong, and the oldest of she's not the oldest. She's the oldest. She's I think the middle of all the kids of her aunts, and she's like 80 something.
80 something. Okay.
80 something, and bro, if you looked at her and said 65, you'd be like easy, maybe 70. Like you could tell she's old. But she's not she's not infirm. She walked faster than young people.
Okay.
And she's also like 2 feet tall. She's this big. But she was very, very mobile.
Like dogs, where like little dogs live longer than big dogs. You and I if that's how it works, you and I are going to die in like our 50s or something.
Well, that's Kyle has problems with his hips, and I'm like, you're like a greyhound, like a Great Dane. Yeah. But yeah, like it's one of those things where, like right now, where I haven't really brought this up on social media, guys, so you may not have seen this, but I am doing this crazy thing where I'm walking 20,000 steps a day, and on top of that, I'm working out. I'm also trying to eat healthier and everything. So I'm really on a fast track to insanity, basically. But I am also in the best shape of my life, and I'm really pushing forward. So like for me, I'll be honest with you, I'm turning 44 in like a month. I didn't think I would see 30, let alone, and now I'm looking at 60 or 70 and going, I can make it. I think I'm gonna, like right now, I was late on getting to the party of getting in shape. And let's say I lived a life of a little bit too much indulgence, but I feel that I have the willpower to go the distance, and I'm really doing some really cool stuff. So I don't know. But I don't think I'll pass that. Like 80, I bet. Ooh, maybe.
Looking at life expectancy, my mom's side, her parents lived until their 60s and both died of different types of cancer. My dad's side, they died in their 80s. And looking at both my parents, my mom looks like she's doing fine.
Yeah.
She's got like depression stuff, but that's not going to kill you necessarily.
That's just being old and alone.
Yeah. In my dad's case, the Parkinson's really makes him look worse than he is. Where like there are some days you go over and it kind of looks like he's been turned to stone. Like it's very hard for him to move. Other days he's up and around and walking. It really is kind of a coin flip.
Yeah.
There have been days where I'll invite him to one of Katie's family functions, and he will be like, literally, let you know the day off, because there are some days where I'm just like, I'm not moving today.
Yeah. And that's
And-
so.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where like it's so ridiculous is that you need to always be moving. That is the key to longevity and mobility, is never stop doing shit.
Even if it's just like getting up and walking around. Like yesterday, Dan and I'm at my friend Dan's house. No, this is not what the podcast is named after. Dan is an acronym, but I'm at his house. This is why the background looks different. And I came up here to visit him in Oregon. We went to the lake yesterday and just took paddleboards out on the lake, and that was incredibly draining, but it was doing shit.
Yeah,
I'm on vacation, but we're doing shit.
Which is fun. Like, listen, there are vacations, and then there are vacations where you're just doing shit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I like a vacation where I do absolutely nothing, like an all-inclusive.
Those are nice.
I've been many a times, and every time I'm like, oh, I could live like this, and they're like, no, you can't, because you have to be way richer than you are, fatso. I'm like, ah.
You know what is a good way to not do shit, but it's okay. I took the train up here to Oregon, and it took about 20 hours from station to station. You don't have to be anywhere. They're not like, you can't go anywhere. You're on the train. But it's also not like a plane where you're in your seat and you're not standing up unless you're going to the bathroom. You can just get up and walk around.
Yeah.
So it's doing shit without having to be anywhere. I
Did it
got a
have
lot of writing down on the train.
That's cool. Did it have was there like a silent car and so like weird like, did you get a bedroom or anything, or just a chair? Like,
I was in coach, so it was just a chair. And the guy that I was next to for the first half of it was really cool. To the guy, I'm not going to say his name, but you know who you are if you're listening to this show. It was nice sitting next to you for like 15 hours. Then he got off in the Bay Area, and then the guy who replaced him was a guy in his 60s who would not stop coughing, like every 30 seconds. And I had to sleep next to that guy. That's what really made it hard for me, was trying to sleep. He was coughing all the time. So around 4 a.m., I just got up and walked to the observation car, that's where they have like quiet time. So after, I think, 9 p.m., they turn the lights down, and they're like, no talking unless you go to the observation car. Then you can
I like that.
Yeah. So I would go, I just took my laptop there and was like writing.
Clickety clack, annoying everyone. Just click, 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 click.
There were 2 other people in the entire car in that.
Oh, okay. Then.
There's nobody there. There's no Wi-Fi on the train, so you either got to use your hotspot or just bring a book or something. It's very nice. I talked to people because when it was like time for meals, they just sit you down next to whoever is there, because they can't fit everybody at like a table by themselves. So they're just like, "Are you 3 over there?" And we just have conversations, and it was a lot more social than it would have been on a plane. Just shut the fuck up until you're at your destination.
Yeah.
So yeah, train is a way to do nothing while not doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very nice.
Was it?
Anyway.
Did you feel bad if you got up and walked around? Like, were other people like, "You fucking sit down, asshole"? Like, no.
No, people were like moving about. There was this one guy who was obsessed with walking. We were in the caboose where I was. He would walk all the way to the caboose and just like look out the back. And he was just staring there. And then at one point he tried to film with his phone. And one of not the conductor, but just somebody who worked on the train, like came back there like, "Sir, you're gonna have to back up a couple steps, because if you hit the wrong button, that door's opening and you're probably flying out the back."
Oh.
So he had to like back up a couple steps.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
okay,
always be moving, even when you get older, and like it must be hard for my dad, because his brain works fine. It's the muscles that move his mouth and the ability to get up and move that sometimes just don't work as you get older.
he should try. How are his hands working? Are they shaky a little bit? But
Yeah, they shake a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of new cool stuff that like we've tried using with Victoria's parents too and stuff. And like, because you can like as people get older, there's a lot of like the one cool thing about right now is there are a million different gadgets and doodads for all sorts of ailments because people have money, so they have to be accommodated. It's great.
Right. People who have money have to be accommodated. Yes,
nope. Yeah, because there are too many poor people, so they're like, "I'll make your golden toilet." Sure, okay, you have money. Yeah, I'll make a gold toilet. No problem. Done.
Yeah.
So, in the same sense, like there's a lot of cool stuff. Like what was one of the things? Like, yeah, no, there's just like different. There's even cutlery that you can buy that helps if they're really having a lot of tremors. There are little cutlery that will like try and counterbalance it with a gyroscope inside of it, and it's a little bit easier for them to feed themselves. Because
can you send me a link for that? That would be a really good gift for him.
Yeah. Because like that, it's the amount of independence that you lose that really just fucks with people, and I get it. I really do.
He like one time I got him. I got these gloves that they slip on and there's a light in the palm.
Yeah.
And it's like fingers left. It's for mechanics usually, so they can see what they're doing when they're
right on
working on cars. But he liked it because it would tighten his hands up because of the thing in the palm, and because his vision is not great.
Yeah.
It was never really great. He had glasses since he was a kid. Like just being able to see better. He's a big fan of those. So like little gadgets and stuff really works out for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the learning to have fulfillment random Wednesday. Yeah, sorry, Cole. The train fucked it up. Good job on Last Minute History, by the way. I watched that part of that when I could on the train.
I want to go through and just see how many factual inaccuracies there are during Last Minute History this past week.
Go to the Martin Luther episode because I was really fumbling with that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had a lot of trouble because it was he did so much, and I was trying to do enough of the narrative to where it's kind of interesting. So I just did up to the theses on the good writing to the Protestant Reformation. It was like
okay. Well, so and this is the thing is what we've been talking about and what we're trying to make as a topic here, guys, is the idea of at what point should you
step away?
Step aside, because listen, there's a certain point where the best need to teach. They need to pass on that knowledge. Otherwise, it dies with them, right? So I feel like there is an onus of those who are great to step aside to educate the next generation. Because listen, like, so I just watched Ford versus Ferrari. By the way, great movie, fantastic movie. And I'll tell you what is like. This is the thing is, I grew up in a machine shop. We did shit. So if we wanted to build an engine, we could build an engine. There's no.
That's fucking cool.
And we talked about it, and we were kind of like, well, like, yeah, we can. Should we? Is that where we want to go with the business wise? And like, it never panned out. But it's like, we can do that. Like, we made machines. So, like, tolerance have to be like a thousandth of an inch. Like,
I was thinking, when my car eventually dies, I would love to find a way to just rebuild the engine and keep the car. Because I feel like that's better for the environment than like trying to get a new car.
I mean, theoretically,
it would probably be really fucking expensive though.
Well, it depends because you could just replace the engine.
Yeah, because like I found out Cuba has the highest per capita classic car ownership because of the embargo. They're like, oh, we can't get new cars. We just got to repair what we got.
Have you ever been to Cuba or no?
No, never have.
Okay. I did like years and years and years ago. I highly recommend it if you go 5-star. Anything lower than that, that's dangerous. Just
gotcha.
Have an iron stomach and do as you please. Now, But driving around, everything was like a classic 50s, 60s car. And bro, beautifully up. And people like really care for the cars. The interiors, mental. But the exteriors,
Yeah.
pristine.
Well, yeah, the cars used to just be a lot more colorful, but that's its own thing. I also wanted to bring this up as like as an episode idea because every year on Katie's birthday, we get sushi and we watch Hamilton. So a lot of that era of the U.S. is kind of in my head right now.
All right.
The creation of the U.S. and a big part of George Washington as a president was after 2 terms, he was like, "I'm out, peace."
Yeah.
And that sent shockwaves both through the U.S. and through the rest of the world because this was an era where you still had monarchies in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Or parliaments didn't have term limits. But for Washington to go, I'm done. You guys kind of forced me into being president. I'm old. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he went, you guys should keep doing this. This is the precedent I'm setting here because it's not good for someone to hold on to power for so long.
No.
And that's how you get the thing on the show where people are just like, John Adams, you know. And that precedent wasn't broken until FDR and World War II, where he had to go from two terms of the Depression to World War II is happening, and he's like, I gotta run again, guys. This is a big deal. And then after he got elected the 4th time, they're like, this is a lot. We should just make that a law where you can only serve 2 terms as president.
So,
but at the same time, the House and the Senate don't have term limits, and that's how you get people like Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, this is the problem: is that the longer you have power, the more corrupt you will be. It's that simple, right? And
absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, that's the old saying, right?
And that's the thing is, you're given so much authority, you now operate in a different universe of principles.
Yes,
it is a very weird situation to be in, and people don't recognize how much that can be. So it's really key that people understand that it's kind of like if you are if you don't educate your offspring and they just leech off of you, when you die, they'll be lost and fall apart and everything will be over.
Yeah.
But if you are harder with them and teach them and make sure that they feel heartache and how to deal with that kind of stuff, you have a better guarantee that they'll actually be real people. Now, will they have suffered? Yes, but they'll be so much better for it. Like parenting is that weird line of care and individuality, knowing full well that if your child is too coddled, they will become a failure.
Yeah, my mom said that I think this was when I was a teenager because you know you're finally able to have semi-adult conversations with your parents at that time. And she goes,
kind of, yeah.
One of the hardest parts about parenting is that you want to give your children the world, and you can't do that. Because then your child will demand the world of you. So you have to teach them to go get the world for themselves. And she had a good point there. And then at the same time, now that I'm 30, every time I go over to her house, she's like, I failed as a parent. Like, Mom, both of your children are married, they live out of the house, and they have steady jobs. You did fine.
Why does she feel like a failure?
I don't know. It's this weird depression spiral for her. I don't want to get into it too much, but it just is one of the things I don't like going over there.
So the problem is that I'm a little bit of a prick, and like my mom will cry about stuff, and she'll be like, "Oh, it's so hard." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yes.
I'm like, "Don't listen. You know how many people don't have shit?"
Yeah. No,
I'm like, I've had enough of that. You need to get your shit together. And she's
Yeah,
like,
in the grand scheme of things, I think you kind of have to be like, just stop crying. I don't think like you.
you're not helping anything.
Yeah, you're not helping yourself. We're not in a pit of despair, and so don't like be so quick to. Yeah,
Ah, enough.
yeah.
It's hey, when people start like I look, when someone sneezes more than 3 times, I just look at them and say, "Get your shit together, bro. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Happening.
And with all that in mind, like there are people who are concerned for the next generation. That's why they don't want to step away. But you can't be doing that.
But that's the thing is, that coddling has caused the degradation or degeneration of every generation's skill and level of competency when it comes to regular household things, balancing a checkbook, maintaining a car, a property, having a service schedule for your home.
Yeah, like Dan. So Dan works for social services right now, and he's like, I want to get my electrician's license. And the reason he wants to do that is when he was a teenager, he went with his dad, who was an electrician,
Yeah.
on calls, and now that is leading him to go into this field because his dad took the time to teach him these skills
Yes.
that he is now using. Um, I know that my parents both wanted my sister and I to get into medicine, and we just didn't.
Well,
We're
okay,
not.
let's be honest. Medicine is absolutely fucking horrible. It is
Yeah,
a terrifying experience,
Yeah.
and it will dominate your entire life. It is
Mhm.
very difficult. And
Yeah, but I think they didn't force it when they realized the chips weren't going to fall that way. When my dad realized that I don't have steady hands and I'm bad at math, he's like, just I'm not going to bother. Do whatever you want. Same with my sister. We just became something different from your parents, and to the third thing about like knowing when to give it up to the next generation is to understand that they might do things differently than you thought.
Yeah.
You can't make uh, a certain like the people after you do exactly what you wanted. You can only nudge them in that direction and hope that
Yeah.
it works out that way. The Gen Z, hi Caleb, if you're listening, by the way, we miss you. Gen Z has a lot of the kids in that generation. They don't do as much drugs as millennials or Gen X. They
Yeah.
don't really drink. They're not really having sex. They're not a very horny generation.
Yeah.
Not just the like not having kids thing. They just don't fuck as much, and
Yeah.
that might seem disconcerting to us. But at the same time, they're a more empathetic generation. They make a point of trying to include people who might be on the outside more, and that is a good thing. So I can be as annoyed with the lack of horniness all I want, but it's just not who they are
Yeah.
on the whole. And
See, and
yeah,
that's the real conundrum, is because like, look, what happens here is you have people who were told, and this is your generation specifically,
mhm.
your parents, who your parents can kind of be, or would kind of be in my generation in weird way, like, but they're older, right? So uh uh it's this weird thing where you were told, well, this is what's good for you, this is what you should do, and you were like, oh, okay, cool, I'll go do that, and then you did that, and they're like, now you're fine. You're like, no, I'm not fine. I'm not fine.
Well,
None of this is fine.
it was either now you're fine or what do you mean we didn't tell you that?
Oh,
Idiots. You
you're like,
major in English? What the fuck? Yeah.
yeah, you're like, why would you do that? You already speak English, and you're like, what? Yeah, no.
Yeah, you didn't say. You literally said, "Go to college. Doesn't matter what the major is. You'll get a good job." That's not what happened. So, learning to undo the mistakes of your past, of the like, generations before you, is just kind of what it is to be a human.
Yeah.
Right? Like me telling my students as a teacher, I'm not going to try and cram college down your throat. That does not mean college should not be gone, attended at all. But there are other options. Community college is a solid option. Trade schools are an option. I remember when I was a kid and I was misbehaving, my mom would be like, "Don't do that. You'll end up being a garbage man." Garbage men have unions and make good money. And are good for
Garbage men make top tier cash.
Yeah. Like, that always pissed me off when I found out how much they made. I was like, what is wrong with you people?
And now I'm not sure how it is now, but I remember back in the day, garbage men got paid for their route. It didn't matter how long their route took; they got paid for the route. So they may do it at like 6 o'clock in the morning, plow through, be done by 9 o'clock. They're done for the day. Like that, there are a lot of guys that have that kind of thing, and they're like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to do later today. Why? Because I want to." That's it. You're like, you can, like, there was a lot, used to be a lot of freedom in that sense, and you're going like, bro, that means you're working full-time hours. You can take on a second route every once in a while and make some extra cash because you get paid double time, right? You're going like, that's a great job. And then teachers are like, oh, that's a horrible job. You're like, they make more than you, fuckface. So
yeah, and like, I didn't get into teaching for the money. Dear God, not for the money.
No.
I did it because it was a good use of my skills as a comedian, and it's one of those jobs where no one will be like, "Ew, teacher, what a dick."
Yeah,
they'll rip on you for other reasons, but it's like a unequivocal societal good to be a teacher.
So this is the thing: is that your colleagues, and you know exactly who those colleagues are because now you have a year under your belt. The colleagues that only are there because you're like, I can get a good pension out of this and get good benefit.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are there for that purpose are the worst people in society, right? Now, and I'll tell you why, is because the responsibility of educating the youth is not glorified enough because the job itself is literally to be at the forefront of knowledge, right at the top of your, like, that's, as an educator, you're like, I am the guy who's learning the new interpretations of things.
Yeah,
it's not the same. That's not what your job. That's not the job. But that's what it is. It's what it's supposed to be.
This is why I try and keep on, like, pay attention to internet culture, not just because I grew up on the internet, but also because it's how you interact with the youths.
Yeah.
And it's just a way of relating to them. I'm sure I'll get worse at that as I get older, but
definitely.
I try my best to at least, like, kind of sort of keep it like
so. What I like to do is I'll look at a young person and I'm like, how would you describe this? And they would say things and I'm like, man, it was easier just calling stuff gay and retarded. I'm like, you guys have too many words. That's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Because, hey, South Park explained it the best. It has nothing to do with sexuality, just to be very clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good to have, like, language evolves, and it's good to have more language to describe things that we didn't have words for before.
But we had, like, English is quite extensive.
Mm-hmm.
The new words that are coming out are only just so there's a word that's become popularized in Toronto, and that word is, I believe, bhakti, and that is Somali for homeless person. And you're going,
okay.
Number one, what the hell are you talking about? And then there's a lot of slang that people use, and I'm like, listen, the problem with slang is, like, when I was not young, let's say I was probably 19, okay? Younger guys started referring to themselves as God. What's up, God? And I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. If I hear from again, we're throwing hands. Just immediately. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, don't be stupid. with your stupid names. I go, this has gone too far. And you know what? It was gone. Within 3 days, whoever did, I'm like, bro, next person I hear, I'm throwing hands. I can't, and look, you were told if you were being dumb by the people around you, like, hey, you're stupid. Listen, you're going to have to stop that. You're a little bit creepy, a little bit weird. Got to calm it down. Right?
See,
now,
after this year where I know that I have a strategy on like any word that's annoying, I know how to get them to stop using it.
Start using it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or
immediately.
Do it as word of the day. Yeah. Riz disappeared into the wind like it got famous. It was fantastic.
You know what I want? Like, I want to know how much freedom you have, like, because you are an English teacher. So, like, words are real and they can be part of your curriculum in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would feel that you should definitely have like a word of the day, and it will be like the newest slang, and whoever can incorporate it the most throughout the class gets like a Tamagotchi or something stupid. Like just
a couple extra points on the
yeah, they get double points on the bonus point of their next test, whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good. It's not a bad idea. I'll try
because like this is the thing is the hardest part about education is engaging your students in shit that you know is gonna be important at some point in their life. Not right now. It's absolutely fucking useless right now. But at some point, this is gonna be worthwhile knowledge, and it'll make you better.
Yeah, and it was always fun. Like the stuff where you would say, "When am I going to use this?" And they're like, "You'll use it at some point." And almost always, it ended up being, except for mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and what a hypothesis is. That didn't really come up for me, but the rest of it was pretty on brand.
So, interestingly enough, because I'm going through this health journey of trying to get fit and everything, I've had to watch a lot of videos from people who are doctors, maybe call themselves doctors, not sure, but a lot of relevant information. And a lot of the times they're like, so this is how the mitochondria work. And I'm like, I am familiar with this. Let's discuss it, please.
And you're like, yes, I can use it finally.
That's when I'm like, oh, let me just put my glasses on and I'm ready to go. You know, like just that's exactly Let me just put my lab glasses on and all right, let's talk science, everybody. It's it's fine.
So knowing when to step away. In terms of politics, I don't think that term limits or age limits are going to be a thing until either the millennial generation remembers what they went through, and we are that age, and go, we should do that. Which I don't know if that's even going to be a thing.
The amount of powerhouses in politics right now, not only with authority and longevity of their career in politics, but also at this point, just as a matter of wealth, is a massive concern, right? Because just to be clear, AOC became a senator. She's a senator, governor, senator,
representative, I think,
or whatever.
Yeah,
some job. Okay, a job that makes $150K a year.
She's a representative in the state of New York. Yeah.
All right. Okay. She was a bartender and had no money.
Yeah.
Got a job paying $150K. It's a good job. That's a really I'll tell you guys this much. That's
okay, for New York, it's not all that much, but yeah, it's a good job just in general.
Regardless, she's now worth $29 million.
Okay.
That's a problem.
A little bit.
And I give that as an example because, in all honesty, I had such high hopes for her. And you're going,
I don't know if she's done anything like, rich asshole.
Oh no. She's not broken any laws or anything like that. Yeah. My problem is that's not a trust. That's not an honorable way to operate as a representative.
Yeah. I'm wondering if like it seems like a good way to do that, to have that be a thing, is okay, as a representative, all your expenses are taken care of. Like the US government pays for it, but you don't get a salary. And then once you like
Yeah.
finish your term, then you can do whatever.
I
I'm not
mean,
sure. Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is. Well, I definitely know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's this whole idea of like, and that's the thing is like, you don't need age limits if you have term limits.
Yeah, that's true.
And in all honesty, like let's be honest, considering the little debate that happened what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, which was basically elder abuse. Let's just start there. The whole thing, both sides are going, what is happening right now?
That's not to say that like having older people in politics is bad, but when it's an what's it called, a gerontocracy, so geriatric plus
correct.
Yeah, geriatric rule. It's not good. These people don't have a stake in what's going to happen 20, 30 years down the line.
Yeah.
You had people like John Fetterman who seemed to be off to a good start, and then
and then exploded. Their entire brain, they was liquidated, reformed, jammed back in, and they're like, he's fine. And he's like, yup, okay. Nope. And you're like, bro, that's a problem. Listen, that's weird, right? And that's why I'm like, look, see, my thoughts are this. If you are successful in your community, successful in an enterprise, at some point you would retire maybe, and during that retirement you have to still be active. So what better way to be active than public service? Perfect. That would be. And then, hey, you know what, I'm almost retired, I can still get around, it'll keep me active, I'm serving the public, I'm giving back. That's the perfect time to spend 4 to 6 years doing that. And then, you know what, now I'm just going to take it easy because I've earned, I've given back. That's how things go. People going, I'm 29 and now I'm part of Congress. And you're like, okay, what do you do in Congress? Nothing. Just sit there and make money. It's great. And then they're like, oh, I've also been doing that for 65 years.
Yeah.
What the hell?
This is my theory. So in America, the concept of work, your job, is who you are as a person when you meet. What do you do? That's the first thing you say when you meet people, which annoys me, but that's neither here nor there. So your job being what you are maybe makes that even harder for people to let go of their office holding.
It's a part of their identity.
It's a part of their identity. And when people retire, they don't really know what to do with themselves because the concept of hobbies has become so much less of a thing within the last 50 years plus years in the US. So, you know, you have some people like Jimmy Carter who are like, I'm building houses for humanity. Fuck you.
Bro, Jimmy Carter is the real deal. I'm sorry.
He's the best person as a president the US has ever had.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, as a guy. He wasn't the best president, but he was the best guy.
Was Jimmy Carter one term?
Yes.
So there's a current meme where a guy's like, these two aren't old enough. Get Jimmy Carter back. And I'm like, ooh. Technically, he's a one-term president, so he can be. And
yeah.
That's pretty wild.
He's like, suck on that, Grover Cleveland, too. Non-consecutive terms.
I mean, you know.
But anyway, so with all that in mind, I think that if we as a society make hobbies less stigmatized and more encouraged in just American society, you would have less of these people like grasping onto power until their withered hand releases it as they die.
Well, it just needs to be to the point where work is less of our identity. Right?
Yes, I think so.
Like that's one of the things where, like one of the components of, universal basic income, is where I'm like, oh, I agree, because then you have the luxury of, okay, So I can work anywhere and I'll be okay. That changes everything because, oh, I serve coffee and I make a living. It's fine. And
Yeah.
the rest of the time I work on my music, art, comedy, whatever, but you're okay. Oh, I'm going to go on vacation. That's fine. Super. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go do something
I
else.
have
Like
time to.
there's
That,
always
that's
a
kind
thing,
of
you
what
know?
having the summer off as a teacher has been like. I'm like microdosing,
Yeah.
where I get, it's not just a week off a year,
Yeah.
and being able to kind of do whatever I want. I'm doing this show. I've this summer I've been trying to be better about like updating my TikTok and stuff. But
Is
just
Katie working or does she have summers off too?
her school is private and year round, unfortunately. So yeah, there is like
Well, she also teaches younger kids, right?
yes, the
So
little kids.
then it's
The way
more, yeah.
Yeah. The way it works is over the summer they do like a ship of Theseus thing. So like kids leave one at a time as new kids come in,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
by
yeah.
the time September arrives, the whole new crop of kids is there and they're ready to go.
Oh, that's cool.
So I try to be like a better husband and like cook, clean, make her coffee in the morning.
Yeah. Why not?
So I'm like trying to not be terrible, but I don't know.
Look,
I'm not sure if
look, well, this is the thing, okay? And there's a few comedians that do jokes about this, and you're going, listen, if you put in the work to make the day a little easier, the day will be a little easier. So right out of and that's the same idea of like, hey, go get your workout done first thing in the morning, make your food, do all the prepping stuff. Okay, that's all done. Great. Now you can just have your day. It's and you're like that working, and that's the thing is a lot of people try and do it. Oh, I'm going to do it after work. I don't want to do anything after work. Nothing. Zero. And if you want to hang out, it's got to be something cool, and you're probably going to have to pay because I'm poor.
And for the people who like finish their work, they're like, "What? So what? I just kind of fade into obscurity. I fade into the wind." I think that's what people are afraid of when they step away, when they retire. Is that like, what? You just sit in my house all day and do nothing? I'm seeing that happen with my parents. Now, in my dad's case, he has his music. He has a creative outlet.
Yeah.
He also has two kids that are in their teens, so like it's not like he's done.
No.
But for my mom, I can really see that happening to her, where she just doesn't know what to do with herself.
Yeah.
And I think that's the crux of the matter. Not just for politics. Like, politics is its own thing, power corrupts, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Knowing when to retire and just go live your life, unfortunately, as your body degrades, it is really awful. And I would love to like just rewrite the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but he's just like, all right, I'm retired and I'm a teenager. Fuck yeah.
I mean, yeah, that guy was banging broads like there's no
Yeah.
He's like, also Brad Pitt face. Boom. You're just like, oh, okay. You got it all there. Okay. Yeah. No, but that's like it's one of those things where you try and keep in perspective where people are like, well, I like doing my work, and you're like, I'm not saying you don't like doing your work, but like, what's the point of working so hard? Like, I was working at that Halloween event, and then we were setting up that Christmas event, and we were outside in the cold, and there was a guy who was in his 60s, bro, and he was like, I also own a restaurant, and that's kind of what I do in the off season, but like, I got to be doing something, and I'm like, bro, that's a shit life.
Yeah. Like it's not a money thing for him, right? He's not doing it because he needs the cash.
No, he's just like, I need to do something, and I'm like, that's horrible. And there are so many other things you could do, like especially like if you need to do something, great, write a book. Like you're not like staying employed is not you having something to do. You're not challenging your mental capacity, which means you're still aging rapidly. Yes. And you're like, so what you have to do is do something you like. That's the whole idea. Like you got to think like vampires in some way. Every couple decades, you got to reinvent yourself. Otherwise, people start picking up on things. It's not good. Okay. If you're not, listen, think about it this way: is if you meet up with people that you haven't seen in 20 years, and they're like, "Wow, you act exactly the same," that is not a compliment. That
Yeah.
is a statement of fuck off. Okay,
Yeah.
like
I hate to do this because this is like quintessentially Atlas, but Rush, the band, had a 40-year long career. Shut up. Uh, they had a 40-year long career, and every couple of years they would try something different.
yeah,
Like in the '90s, there's a rap section on the song. It's terrible. It
yeah,
is awful because it's Geddy Lee being Geddy Lee, but he's rapping and it's dog shit. But they tried something, and I think that's important to fail to try new things to
yes,
do all that stuff. Um, is just not a way to uh, live your life is to stagnate. Like try new things and to have the confidence to pass things on to the next generation.
yeah, yeah,
Because I keep hearing, these damn kids. They've said that for centuries now, and we
yeah.
haven't died yet. We're
Well,
close, but we haven't died yet.
but this is the thing is like, look, if you, and this is why, like, I'm so thankful that my dad was like, "You're coming to the shop to work," and it was like, "I don't want to do that," and he's like, "I wasn't asking," and you're like, "Oh, okay," and he's like, "Listen, I need you to do this," and he would just tell you what to do. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. Oh, okay. He didn't ask, "Can you do this? Are you
Mhm.
capable?" No, just do it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
show you how to do it, and you're gonna do it.
walk the dog, take out the trash, make your bed. Worked in the machine shop.
No, this was more so is like, listen, you're gonna take this, you're gonna take it down, you're gonna be milling this part, you're gonna do, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're gonna
Yeah,
operate this flame torch, and I'm like, how, like
I
it's already
am.
set up, you just gotta turn it on, and it'll do its thing. So one of the things that I did, Atlas, was okay. So it's gonna sound wonky, is that we had a torch that
Okay.
would that was attached to a magnetic little dongle. The
Okay.
dongle would trace whatever you put. So you would have a steel cutout, and it would trace and trace it, and then the
Yeah.
torch would burn out whatever you wanted.
Cool.
Because we were cutting out these pieces en masse.
Okay.
So we're just cutting them out, and I'm just doing this. And I'm like, it's a shit fucking job. Can somebody else do this? What? Sorry. Keep on doing it. You don't, you're like, hey, that's your job. Just fucking do it. And we were doing these machines where they would need like 44, because these were the teeth on a shredding machine.
Okay.
So we would have to do 44, and these things were solid steel, about 9 inches in diameter and about an inch and a half, no, about, yeah, inch and a half thick. So you're talking about like, this is weight, and I have to move 44 over to the cutter. I have to cut them, load them back up, take them over back to the, like, and I'm just, bro, it's like days of doing this shit. And you're going, yeah, but then you learn, because you're like, look, man, that's the job. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
And then you start to learn. Someone goes, hey, are you counting anything? You, what? Let's just count something in your head. Do something in your head. It distracts you, and then the day passes, and you're like, I could have used that when I was on the first day, you son of a bitch. Like, but people don't give you this. So, like, there's a certain benefit to being told what to do and then being educated in hey, this is how you would approach this. This is how you deal with the situation. This is how you figure out this problem. This is how you operate this machine. All those things happen, right? If this happens, this is how you deal with it. There's a lot better of an education happening right now, which is great, but also people are babied way too much, and there's no fuck around and find out. There's two
There
sides to it.
is, but mostly culturally. It's not in the like day to day stuff. It's mostly things like you say something dumb online and then people dogpile you.
Yeah, I guess so.
I
Very
think
true.
that's where the fuck around and find out comes from. I'm wondering if my friend Dan, again, whose house I'm in, has stories like that from working with his dad. I should have asked him before I came down here, or had him on the show. I think that would be interesting.
I mean, it's always interesting to have a Dan on Generation Dan. I feel
Yeah.
just yeah.
Be a good time. So yeah, I guess the so what's the one conclusion I could bring this number to? Uh, is that don't be afraid to pass things on to the next generation. Don't be afraid to give up power, and don't be afraid to uh, be yourself in
I,
your golden era.
I think and I think the key is don't let your knowledge pass with you.
Yes.
Always like look for the like I like, it's that idea like there's a new mental perspective thing on healthcare and fasting and stuff when people are like, hey, you should not think about it that hey, I'm it's sad I'm denying myself food, but with fasting you should be like, hey, I'm treating my body to be able to do maintenance work instead of have to worry about new food coming in. I'm
Yeah.
being generous to myself this way. So in the same sense is listen, looking for the opportunity to pass on your knowledge because that is your true gift is and that's the a beneficial thing is finding that opportunity where you have a chance to add value to make sure that people don't make the same mistakes that people can move past your goals and reach their own
Right.
but
Definitely.
that's a good like that's a good thing to aspire for,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. Works.
it's this has been like we haven't done kind of like philosophical episode like this in a long time.
No.
Yeah, and I think it's good every once in a while.
Well, it's a real thing that like you need a solid perspective on, right? So it works. Anyways,
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching, everyone. We are
Yeah.
tracking 32 consecutive viewers was our peak. This is amazing.
Sweet. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell a friend about Generation Dan. Follow us at Generation Dan anywhere you get your social medias. How about you, good sir?
Listen, you can follow me at Daniel the Genetic Marvel. And listen, you don't even have to follow us. You just send us a message of like you flipping us off, telling us our podcast is shit. You can do whatever you want. But we just love making new friends. So even if you want to make it like you guys are being mean to us, that's a funny thing to us. Like we're not nice to ourselves. Like
That's true.
This is us trying to figure out ways of how we can be kind to ourselves and not turn around and go, oh, you're such a fucking loser. It's a conundrum, and we love it when you can take that weight off our shoulders. Be like, see, if you hate us, we don't have to hate us. It's nice. It's a good thing.
Follow me at Atlas Novak anywhere.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. And then check out Last Minute History, which is also on this channel. Watch this on YouTube. Or my other podcast, Nexus at Nights, which is about a trading card game called Vanguard. And if you don't like it, fuck you. Better, right?
I love it.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you later.